Welcome to the Why Music podcast, where we talk to independent artists about their journeys, the inspirations behind their music, and ultimately why they make music. This next artist has taken vulnerability to the next level, creating music with a truly indie vibe. She takes every chance she gets to express every ounce of herself in her songs. Only a few songs in and many more to go, her passion clearly shows. Welcome, Jenny.
Thank you. That was awesome.
Thanks.
Wow.
I always like to start and get kind of a background on where music kind of all started for you.
Yeah. Is that the question?
That's the question. Yes.
Okay, sweet. Where music started for me. Well, listening to music and playing music, have two different starts. Listening to music and my music taste started from listening to music in the car with my dad. We had this old 1998 Nissan Pathfinder, and he would take my sister and I every Saturday. He would take us out to lunch, and he would never let us choose the music. He would always make us listen to his music, and it was always classic rock. Like, we listened to the Beatles, we listened to Led Zeppelin, we listened to old stuff like the Mamas and Papas. And I am Bruce Springsteen too was a huge one. I am so thankful he never let me choose the music, because that is totally where my inspiration for my sound comes from, and just my music taste in general. When I was in fourth grade, I had been begging my parents to let me play the drums for a couple years. And when I was in fourth grade, my mom finally caved, because I just kept banging on all her shit all over the house. So she finally convinced my dad to let her buy me a drum set. And from there, it just totally blossomed. Like, I started playing on the drum set in fourth grade, and then I wasn't gonna do band because I wanted to do percussion, but I hadn't taken 2 years of piano. So I didn't try out for band. But then in fifth grade, I got like one last chance where the band teacher came in, and he was like, is there anybody else that still wants to join band that hasn't yet? So I raised my hand, and then he took a few of us out in the hall. He was like, okay, what do you want to play? And I was like, I want to do percussion. He's like, oh, did you take 2 years of piano? And I was like, my mom's teaching me. And he was like, okay, fine, you're in. So I lied my way. Well, she technically was teaching me, but not for 2 years. So I lied my way into band. And that's basically how it all started. I was in percussion all through high school. I did marching band. I was in choir, I think second half of seventh grade, eighth grade, and then first half of freshman year. But then it got lame, so I quit. And I started my own songwriting journey started when I was 15. I got a guitar for Christmas, and it was I still have it. It's my first acoustic Fender guitar. My mom got it for me, and I learned C and G on the guitar, and then immediately wrote the song Mine that I have out. And from there, it just, like, I loved it. It was just a way to express myself, because I was never really good at being vulnerable. I'm still not very good. I'm kind of working on it. But it was just a way for me to express myself and put myself into something, which I really needed at the time.
No, absolutely. I mean, that's my journey has kind of evolved in a similar way. It's like, like, it wasn't until I started writing music that there were any words that had any sort of emotion to them came out of my mouth, so you get it.
Yeah, exactly.
So if you said Mine was you wrote when you were like 15, what took you so long to want to put it out?
Well, I put it out on SoundCloud.
Okay.
I put it out on SoundCloud, but it was just like the acoustic version. I did that like my sophomore year of college. And it did really well. Like, it got like almost 25,000 listens, which is like pretty good for SoundCloud.
Yeah.
But I just it really was just a confidence thing. Like I just never had any confidence in myself, especially like with those vulnerable things. I was always just too worried about what other people would think. I knew it was good,
Hmm.
but I didn't know like to what degree and whether people would like it and whether I should do it and I would be any good at it. And I was really just afraid of being judged. So it took me so long, really, like once I got out of soccer, uh, in undergrad, once I was done with that, I was actually able to start working on my confidence, um, which then led to, okay, I don't want to be, I couldn't get this thought out of my head, like me laying on my deathbed, pissed off at myself because I never tried
Mm.
pursuing music. Like I it was like my biggest fear, just being pissed at myself for not doing it, for not trying. Um, so I finally just was like, you know what? I'm just gonna put it out. Like I'm just gonna start putting stuff out. This is ridiculous. Like I'm so good, and this is just dumb. Like stop caring what other people think.
Yeah,
So that's
that's
that's why
that.
I decided to put it out.
So, well, I feel like you kind of already answered the question I was going to ask. So at what point, like obviously like mine happened,
Hmm.
the like newer version of it, and
Hmm.
then um what has kind of like what is it that along kind of this deathbed pathway, if we will, made you like not just trying it in the sense of like doing the music thing, but like kind of like really sort of like committing to it in a way of like this isn't something that I'm just like doing because I can then not worry about it on my deathbed, but like it's something that I'm like, like passionate about, if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah. I didn't, it's not all just this fear of being mad at myself when I'm dying. Um, I smoked some weed. And I'm super into like meditation and like spirituality, but not in like a pussy way, more in like like it helps keep me grounded kind of way. Um, Not in like a woo woo kind of way, I guess is what I mean. Um, but just anyway, so I'm super into all that, and I have these like, especially since I started meditating, I've had these like super weird moments of insight. I call them moments of understanding where something just kind of clicks and I understand, like I go from knowing something to understanding it and connecting with it on a deeper level. So I was listening, I've been making Bottom of the Ocean with coming out Friday. I had been making that with my friend Kai for so long, and we had jumped through so many different hoops with it, and I was high and I was listening to it, and I just like had one of those moments of understanding, like, oh, this is really like, oh, this is really good. Like it wasn't just like I was high and I was like, oh my God, this is so good. It was like one of the most profound moments I've ever had in my life. Like it was like inner sense of belief in myself kind of rose up, and I was listening to the song and I realized like, oh, I made that. And it's something that I would listen to if somebody
Hmm.
else made it. Like I really like this song. This is really, it was like I had just a deep appreciation for my talent in that moment. And I left Kai a voice memo right after that happened. And I was like, dude, like we gotta stop. We gotta stop like pussyfooting around this. Like I want to do this for real. Like I really want to go after this. And Kai's my producer.
Hmm.
And I was like, I want to do this with you. Like I want to do this with you. Um and he texted me back. He was like, hell yeah. Like this song is great. Like let's do it. Let's go. So then from that moment on, I've just been like just like in love with it basically. And if I've always had this feeling ever since I was like 5. I've been telling my parents like I'm going to be rich and famous. Like I'm going to be rich and famous. And it's not even like a cocky kind of like egotistical, oh, I'm gonna be rich and famous, I'm awesome. It's always just been like, no, I know that if I do this, then it's going somewhere. I don't know why and I don't know how, but it's going somewhere. And I've just had that belief. I remember like 5th grade, like on the playground, even thinking that about myself. Um, and that's why that deathbed thing was so prominent, because I know like if I go after it, like I'll succeed. So that's pretty much like how I started, like why I started getting really serious about it.
No, absolutely. And that makes sense. And there was, this is like episode, I think like 31 or something. And this is only the second time it's come up that somebody's been like, in a way, addressing and acknowledging their own skill set in a way that, like, we're very much in this world of like, acknowledging your own positives, if you will, or like your own talent and ability. It comes, like, people often just assume it comes off as cocky, like, oh, this person just thinks they're hot shit. But the thing
Yeah.
is it's like, it's not. And like, I know you enough to know that that's not what this is. It's not, oh, I'm gonna
Yeah.
be rich and famous because of who I am. Like, it's just like, it's not just like, oh, like I'm just gonna sit here and it's gonna happen for me. It's no, this is the result that's going to happen because I'm gonna do X, Y, and Z to get there.
Mm-hmm.
We don't necessarily know what X, Y, and Z are, but it's like, what's stopping me from doing those things to get to ultimately
Exactly.
what it is. But it's like, you know, it, people just, it's like, where everybody's too afraid to acknowledge their own skill set a lot of the time, because it's like,
Yeah.
everybody's like, people are like on the receiving end of that are just going to think like, oh, like they just think they're all that. And it's like, well, maybe they are all that,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, you're
you
totally right.
know?
Like when I was younger, um, I remember like being told by my parents, like I remember being told by them not to brag a lot. So I always had trouble expressing my talents and like talking to other people about stuff that I'm good at, because I always perceived it as bragging. And I feel like a lot of people have that problem too. Like they're almost afraid to talk about the things that they're good at. Like you get so many people like get a compliment on something, like, oh my God, like your voice is so beautiful. And they're like, stop, like, no, stop. But like, why?
Why?
Like, why are we telling them to stop?
No.
Like we should just be thanking them.
Yeah. Well, like I've been watching the most recent season of American Idol, and all of
Oh
these like
yeah.
auditions, like the judges like gave him like a standing ovation, like they were standing up. So many of the people that were like singing told them to like sit back down, like, no, like we're good. I'm like just take in the moment that
Yeah,
freaking Katy
yeah.
Perry's like standing there in front of you applauding,
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
It's like that's
I
our
get it,
first
but
instinct. That's our first instinct is like,
mhm.
no, stop. Like,
I mean, yeah, I mean,
yes, like
yeah.
acknowledge yourself. Like, be proud of yourself.
No, I mean, I get the not wanting to, like, doing it for the reason of not wanting to come off like you're like cocky or overconfident or anything. But at the same time, that's purely just the result of this is the world we've created.
Yeah.
Self-deprecation is in, and like self-actualization is out.
Yeah, dude, I could go on about that. Oh my God. I tell people I'm a huge believer in like in your thoughts become your reality.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that my dad taught me when I was really little. Like he always taught me to think. Like, every night he would come in my room before bed and he would be like, "Okay, it's time to train your brain." And he would ask me like what I wanted to do, and at the time it was I want to be a D1 soccer player. And he would say, "Okay, like then tell yourself I am a D1 soccer player." Like tell yourself that over and over again. Tell yourself good things are happening to me now. Say that like 10 times every night. We would say those things. I like, if you talk about yourself in a negative way, negative things are going to happen to you.
Mm-hmm.
And if you talk about yourself in a positive way, then positive things are going to happen to you. Not in like a manifestation kind of way,
Yeah.
but just in like that's how the brain works kind of way. So many people they like question why they hate themselves, or they question why they're like depressed. And then like I was having a conversation with my friend the other day. He's like, I don't know why I'm so depressed. Like I hate myself. I'm like, dude, if I talk to you that way, like if I talk to you the way that you talk to yourself, you would hate me. Like you would hate me and you would not want to be my friend. You wouldn't want to spend any time with me. So why are you talking to yourself like that? Like, duh, you're going to hate yourself. And
Yeah.
that's just such the culture today, man. That's self-deprecation is in. And it's
mean,
annoying. Like,
it is. It can be funny at times, but there is a limit. There is a
oh
limit.
yeah.
There's a
Oh
limit. It
yeah.
has its time and place, but it's just like the other side of the coin. It's like you can't like be super like you can't like let yourself get sort of like a bigger ego in the sense of
Oh
like
yeah,
acknowledging
100%.
your own skill set all of the time where it's like, what, like this is just going to work
Yeah.
because I'm like this
I feel
talented or
like that's
whatever.
just honesty. Like at
Yeah.
that point, it's
That's
just
why,
like
like self-awareness is like
a hundred
lacking but very
percent,
much needed.
100%.
So,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I'm big into all that. I'm big
Yeah,
into it.
that is very true though.
Yeah.
Back to our regularly scheduled program. What do you find often inspires a lot of your writing?
What inspires a lot of my writing? Usually things that I'm going through. A lot of times it's like it kind of depends. Like sometimes I'll be like, okay, I need to write about something because this is like bothering me. This is on my mind. Like I have a song. It's like a 6 minute song. It's low-key a banger. And it's about basically coming home to yourself and going through a really hard time and feeling like you don't know who you are. And one of the lines is something like, I didn't know what it was like to feel my own body, to be in my own body, a stranger to my own flesh and bones. But then overcoming that and knowing that like eventually everything's going to be okay, like a reminder to yourself. Like that one was like deep. Like I was like going through something and I needed to write about this journey I was going through, like just self journey I was going through. But then other times, like I just wrote this song the other day, um, which isn't particularly about anything. Well, it is. It's about like it's called I'm either gonna call it Grace on Hubby Avenue or I'm gonna call it the Forbidden Fruit, probably the Forbidden Fruit. That song is about that one person that is so bad for you and like you're bad for each other, but like you cannot stay away from each other. Um and that like that wasn't even like that's not even happening. I I just was humming a tune in my head and strumming around on the guitar and I was like, oh, this sounds kind of cool if I sing like this. And then I just kind of wrote out the lyrics and it just kind of happened. So a lot of the times like my songs are always about something, but they're not necessarily about something that's happening in my life. They're just like things that might have happened or just like relatable things. I don't really know. Like it's just like what sounds good in my head and then it goes into a song.
Filter out the good parts and use that. That's always
Yeah,
good.
pretty much. Yeah.
So when it
Um
comes to like the difference between like the stuff that you write that's from like a personal experience or like there's some sort of connection directly like from you there versus something that just is like forbidden fruit where it's like might not be my life right now but I wrote it.
mhm.
Do you find that you approach writing those two different kinds of things in different ways or
Yeah,
like
I
they happen in
totally
different
do.
ways?
I
Okay.
totally do. Like the ones that are honestly the ones that I kind of need to get out, like the ones that are really emotional that are more of like the way you feel when you like journal or you go to therapy, like you need to get something out. Those ones are actually harder to write because I feel like I need to be more precise with my wording so that the listener is understanding and can relate to what I'm feeling. Um, and those usually take longer for me to write. But once I get going, like it'll flow out. They take longer to like kind of start, I guess. But then sometimes, um, and that's not always true. Like so, like Bottom of the Ocean was something that I was going through, and needed to get out, but that just totally like flew out of me. So there are exceptions, but then like this song that I just wrote, uh, that when it's usually when it's not necessarily about something I'm going through right now, those for some reason just like are so like I wrote that in like 2 days, and it could have been a day, but I had to do something after I wrote the first verse, so I put a pin in it till the next day. That one was so like it was so easy, but it's so good. It's complex but like good. I don't know. It's not really like I don't necessarily have a process. I think when it comes to specific lyrics and the way that I word things, I go for rhythm. The melody is kind of, I don't really think about it. It's kind of just whatever sounds good, and what sounds right. But for the specific lyrics and the way that I want the rhythm of the lyrics to sound, I go by I write it phonetically. So I have like the line and the way that I want the line to sound. And then I kind of fill in words or phrases that make those sounds. Does that make sense?
I think so. Does the melody
Yeah.
kind of come together in that process, or is that more of
Yeah,
like
the melody just kind of comes in. Like it just I don't really have to like think about how to do that. It kind of just whatever's I don't know, like I just kind of hear it in my head, and then it just goes into the song. That's honestly like how a lot of a lot of the process is literally just me listening to what I wrote, and then like if I'm writing a bass line, it's me like listening to what I wrote, and then I'll be thinking about the bass line and where it is in my in my head, and when I'm hearing it, I'll think about where it's supposed to be, and then I'll kind of hear what it should be doing, and then it goes in the song. It's kind of like magic. I'm not even kidding. Like it's like magic. Like there's no process. I just hear it. And then I'm like, wow, that's really good. Who wrote that? Because it wasn't me. It just showed up. I don't know.
You're just the like medium between the magic and the music itself.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's funny. If you had to create a new genre around your style of music, what would you call it?
What would I call it? Oh my God. That's a good question, because I have actually been trying to figure that out. Because it's like indie, but it's indie pop, but it's indie rock, but it also can be alternative and folky, but there's also some like R&B and soul vibes and some classic rock in there. So probably just objectively good.
That's what you want to go with?
It's like literally the only objectively good. Like I just think it's personally, I think it's objectively good. You can disagree with it, but you're wrong.
Your opinion is incorrect.
Yeah, like you can not like it. You just have bad taste in music. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I really have no idea, honestly. I don't even I have no idea what I would call it. What would you call that? All those things that I just riddled off.
Well, to me, like the thing is like I want to just throw indie at it and leave it at that. Like not attach any pop or not attach any rock. I don't know if like indie R&B is a thing. I don't think that it is. It probably is. I've just never heard it as like a genre, if you will.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is like people, the whole quote unquote controversy, because there's not really a controversy, but it's like differing opinions. Some people will claim that indie itself is like its own genre. You know, like indie films, how that's like a separate kind of like entity. But
Yeah,
like
I
indie is
kind
also
of,
just like short for independent. So it's like,
yeah.
what makes it?
I feel like indie has taken on a genre. I think there's different brands of indie now, and like
Mhm.
it's definitely, like, obviously it stands for independent, but I feel like it's not like this, it's kind of the sound, but not the way that like rock is, like you can tell when something's rock. Like you can
Mhm.
tell when something's indie, but it's more just the way that it feels. Like, I guess that in that way I would classify it, my stuff as indie, because it has like a specific feel. I guess that feeling is like, it's not like anything else. You know, like Remy Wolf, for example, like her music isn't like anything. Like
No,
it's similar to Still Woozy. Um,
she's her own
but
thing.
it's totally its own thing. Same with Still Woozy. Like it's like totally his own thing. And
Hmm.
it's definitely indie. Like it sounds indie, but
Yeah.
like
But what the fuck does
but
that
it
even
doesn't
mean?
like it doesn't sound like any other indie artist. Like I don't,
Mm.
it's it feels
Maybe
like this,
that's what
like,
it is.
yeah, I think
Maybe
that's
indie
like,
is just we haven't heard something like this before.
I think
It's
that's like,
independent from everything else.
yes, I think that's exactly what I'm trying to get at. Like it has like, indie feels like it has roots from almost everything.
Hmm.
Um and it might go more in a certain direction, like Declan McKenna, his Zeros album is definitely, it's definitely indie, but it's definitely more, it sounds more like classic rocky indie. Whereas Remy Wolf would sound more like popish indie, maybe funky, like funk pop indie. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, it's just like
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like pop in itself. Like the thing is, the question is also like, is pop is like considered popular music, but it's also like
Yeah.
anymore it's become its own genre. It's not just like what's popular.
Oh yeah,
It's just
100%.
like, but it's like also how do you just define pop? Like rock, you can define the elements. Country, you know what to expect. Pop,
Yeah.
it's pretty all encompassing in the sense of like I could make pop music,
Yeah.
so and so could make pop music, and a third guy could make pop music, and we could be at opposite different corners of what the hell that even means. You know,
Exactly.
like
Like Katy
you could like
Perry
my
and
music,
Charlie
but you might
Puth.
not like theirs, you know?
Exactly. Exactly. Like Katy Perry and Charlie Puth sound completely different, but they're both pop.
Yeah. And then you throw like even like a Taylor Swift or a Harry Styles in that mix, and
Yeah.
it's like still you're getting something all different from all of them.
Yeah. Music is so cool, man.
It's just like that's what I like about asking this question is because a lot of people like hate it for the sense of like genres are just a pain in the ass to kind of like define anyway. But it's also
Mhm.
like a little bit of a challenge because it's like not only you have to like pick and choose, you got to come up with something new.
Yeah.
So, but it makes you think. Definitely makes you think.
Yeah. I'll just go with objectively good for mine. That'll be my classification.
Is there a song that you've written that you think best embodies who you are as an artist?
Best embodies who I am as an artist. Honestly, probably Bottom of the Ocean. I really like that song. It is so good. I was at the bottom of the ocean with nowhere to go. You were angry when I stole my heart back and let you go. But how the good times roll back now that I can finally float up. Why don't you take one last look, baby? 'Cause I'm about to blow up, yeah. The rumors came running down, and I couldn't keep my own head out the clouds. I had to let them tire themselves out. Oh, but how the good times roll back now that I can finally float up. Why don't you take one last look, baby? 'Cause I am about to blow up, yeah. I feel like it has because one side of me wants to make these like mine type of songs, like they're just beautiful, like something that's just beautiful to listen to. But then this other side of me wants to make like these rock anthems. Like I have this one, oh man, it's so good. It's called Leave Me Be. And it's about honestly American capitalist society, but also just like your mom and get off my back, dude. Like, can you just let me have fun for like 10 seconds, please? And while I'm having fun, can I please not be scared that you're gonna come and call me away to do something else? That is such like a almost like a Paramore like rock vibe. It's like punk kind of vibe. It's so good. So I feel like Bottom of the Ocean kind of encompasses both of those things. And also it has like, I also like the pop element, which I can't necessarily define what that is, but there is like a pop element that I also like, and I also want to reach out and grab a little bit. Not necessarily it's there in that song, but I just mean generally with like songwriting, I want to reach out and get that too. And that song encompasses like that's why it's hard to define what the genre is, because it's like 12 different genres, you know, like the all the instruments are, I don't know, like the bass line. I always think about writing that like how Anderson .Paak would write his bass lines. I always think about that. The guitar, honestly, the guitar pretty much varies. That one's like what sounds really good. I honestly, the way that happens is like, I'm going off on a tangent, I know, but the way that I write the instruments, because I don't play bass, and like I play guitar, but I really play rhythm guitar. Like I can record lead, but I wouldn't be able to play lead live. And drum, like I'm a drummer, so I know what that should be doing. And then I sing, so I know what that should be doing. I play a little bit of piano, enough to write music, but I'm not a piano player, but like I know what it should be doing. I don't play any string instruments, but I know what they should be doing. And I write all of those based off, I'm like, okay, what would be really fun to play if I was playing this instrument during the song? I want the person who's playing the instrument to be having fun. So I kind of write it based off of that. And like what the song needs, obviously.
I was going to say, does it ever get too chaotic playing for everybody to have fun?
No, because not everybody has fun at the same time.
Oh, okay. So it's like jazz, where it's like everybody has their own little like point of like, this is their moment.
Yeah. Like, and their moment might be like 2 bars here, 12 bars here, 32 bars there. Like it honestly, it just depends on the song. It depends what the song needs. But yeah, one time my friend Jack, he plays bass, and we were playing a song. We were doing a cover of some song. He's like, I don't want to do this song. He just says whatever he wants. I love Jack. He was like, I don't want to do this song. It's so boring to play on bass. And I think about that every time I write a bass part. I'm like, would Jack enjoy playing this? And if the answer is no, then it's a bad bass part.
Fair enough.
So if there was one song that encompassed what I want to do as an artist, it would be Bottom of the Ocean. In conclusion.
Okay.
Sorry, that was all over the place.
No, it's all good. And that's the one that comes out Friday? Is that?
Yeah, man, that song is so good. I'm so excited.
Is it objectively good?
Yeah, like
okay.
You got bad music taste if you don't like that song. Just kidding. Everyone's entitled to their own opinions, but your opinion's wrong. Just to let you know.
You don't have a great opinion if that's the case.
Exactly.
You can have
Exactly.
that opinion. What you do with
But like,
it, that's on you.
as long as you're comfortable being wrong, then like you can have that opinion. So
Fair enough.
can you tell that my parents grew up in Jersey? I can never be wrong.
Yeah, you don't that's definitely not your typical Midwestern vibe.
Not at all.
um, if you had to pick two or three artists that you think your music is like a combination of, who would it be?
Probably Remy Wolf for
Okay.
one, because I like that I like adding stuff into my songs that are a little weird. She does that all the time. Like she's got like crazy shit going on in her songs. Just mostly like percussive stuff. Not necessarily, but same with I don't want to name Still Woozy as well, kind of Still Woozy as a second, but like they both kind of the way that they do like weird stuff in their songs and it makes it unique. Um, so I'll just say Remy Wolf for one. Uh, I like that she does that, and I like doing that in my own songs. Two, I would probably say probably Declan McKenna because he captures that classic rock element. Um, especially a song like To Be an Astronaut, like that song is so good. Or Eventually Darling. Like it captures that classic rock element that's not necessarily it's not necessarily classic rock, but you can tell that he was influenced by that. So I would say that he would be my second. Um my third, honestly, who would be my third? Probably at this point I feel like I'm just picking somebody. Um probably I'll just say like probably the Beatles just cuz mostly for the harmonies. Yeah, probably the Beatles because they had those like I like to put cool harmonies in my songs and I like it when like sometimes in my songs I'll have just the main vocal singing, but I usually don't like to do that too much because I love the way that harmonies make a song sound. And the Beatles just like totally took that and ran with it and just reinvented harmonizing. Um so yeah, they would probably be my third. Yeah, probably those three, I would say. But that answer could change.
Yeah, I was gonna
Honestly,
say
don't hold me to
it always
that.
does. It always
Yeah.
does. No, but I get what you were saying about the whole Declan McKenna thing. It's like it's classic rock in the sense of it being rock the way that classic rock was, but it's not the classic rock that's going to make you think, oh, this song like could have been released in the 80s and fit like,
Yeah,
just in with
yeah,
everything
yeah.
else.
Exactly. Like it's not like, oh, this sounds like Led Zeppelin.
Yeah.
Like it's not like Greta Van Fleet, like they sound like,
If you put
oh,
them in the
they
80s,
like yeah,
they
look
would be
look at
just
these
fine.
guys, They would have been at Woodstock.
Yeah.
Um,
They would have been one of the headliners at Woodstock.
oh yeah, 100%. Um, but yeah, he's Declan is so good. I saw him live in this small little coffee shop in DeKalb. I think my freshman year of college, and I was like, it was such a small venue. I was kind of surprised. I was like 3 feet from the stage. It was pretty cool, and the stage was super small too. So I was like 5 feet from the dude. It was pretty epic.
That's wild.
Yeah,
Some random coffee place in DeKalb.
yeah. I'm pretty sure it closed down. I couldn't even tell you. It's in like downtown DeKalb. But I think
He
it's
was
closed
there.
now. I don't even, yeah, he was there and I was there. So
What is an outside passion of yours that you feel impacts who you are as an artist?
probably philosophy and meditation. That like philosophy, meditation, spirituality grab. Um, My graduate degree is in political science, but with a focus in American politics, but a specific focus in political theory. That's like my thing. I love philosophy. I love having existential crisis every day. um I love philosophy. Like I really love it. And I think that definitely influences my music because philosophy I mean just critical thinking skills, and it creates critical thinking skills which in general just allow me to critically think about the music I'm making and what kind of sound I want to have. And it almost allows me to go in and approach things from a back door, like not the usual route. Like I don't like, I hate doing things like the way that other people do them. Not to say like I am my own person. I'm a nonconformist. Not like that, but I don't and I've never liked it's more like being told what to do. I hate being told what to do. But I always try to figure things out in my own way and approach things my own way. And philosophy really helps with that. It almost allows like my own way, or just not necessarily my own way, but just a different way. It allows for so many different paths, and not even just with music, but just with life in general. Like so many different approaches to life. I feel like a lot of people don't even think about their approach to life. They just kind of go through it. But I always think about it as a game, kind of, and like I can do whatever I want. Like I can, not in like a literal sense, like I could go like rob a bank, but I mean like I could make myself into whoever I want to be.
Mm-hmm.
And in that sense, it's like a choose your own adventure game, and
Right.
that's super fun. And in choose your own adventure games, like you got to eat and you got to sustain yourself. You know, you got to make money and stuff. So it's kind of the same, and that kind of makes it way more fun. But yeah, music too. Like I can do what I want, and it's just philosophy is like just the best inspiration for lyrics too,
I'm sure.
especially political theory, because you get some like Leave Me Be is so Marxist. I almost hate it. Like why do I have to make money?
Why is the world the way that it is?
Yeah, pretty much.
No, I mean, I think like it kind of also enables you to take on different perspectives. It almost like heightens that ability to write those songs that aren't necessarily from direct personal experiences. It kind of like allows you to encompass more than just your own perspective into something, which can ultimately allow for a more coherent kind of writing.
Yeah, so true. It allows me to like write about things almost to be able to understand them. Like I write about something that I know about but don't necessarily understand, but then writing about it almost allows me to understand it.
Yeah, that makes sense. It kind of is just, I mean, it's like really like sometimes you don't know what you're trying to say until it's all out on the page. Like you
Yes.
don't
That's
like
yes. That's also just me generally. Like when I talk, I don't know what I'm gonna say until it's all out on the page. And
yeah,
that's
like
why I've
sometimes
said
it's just
so many times, like I've said, does that make sense? Because I don't even know. It's just like this idea in my head, and I'm just spitting out words until I think that I've gotten the full idea out.
yeah, I mean it's just one of those things too where it's like, oh, like this might have been what sparked this thought in my mind, and so I'm going on this thing, but then this where I got to this point took me over here, and then we're
Mm-hmm.
just kind of, zigzagging our way, maybe getting back to where we started.
Oh yeah.
So
Probably not getting back to where we started though.
probably ending with it. Why did I start saying
Yep,
that?
pretty much. Yeah, that's pretty much how it goes.
But I find that to be a hindrance sometimes when I'm writing, in the sense of like if I'm like the song is happening
Mm-hmm.
and starting to like formulate itself, and then I'm like, verse 2 does not add to the story that verse 1 was telling. We're just kind of adding a different experience to it. We need
Mm.
her to be for another day. Like,
Mm.
she's not, her place is not here. It might be somewhere else, but she does not belong here.
Like in the sense of the sound or the lyrics?
The lyrics, like the context, like it's just like
Mm.
we're telling too many different, like there's too much information. I do this talking all the time. It's like too much information for what we're really trying to like get across as far as the point goes. It's like
Mm.
it doesn't add to the like it doesn't connect to the chorus in the same way of like we're on that same path. It's just like a tangent, and it's like, well, that's not the place for a tangent. If we're gonna have a tangent, it belongs in the bridge.
Yeah. Yeah, so true. Yeah,
Bridges are meant for tangents.
yeah. I do that a lot too. But sometimes, like usually when that happens, because I like when the sound kind of, I mean, as long as it flows, and it usually does, like flows into a different direction. I like that. But then with the lyrics, yeah, I usually have to, I'm like, this isn't what I was writing about in the beginning at all. So I have to like change all the lyrics.
Yeah. No, I mean, like, I've taken songs and just completely rewritten them because it's like, you weren't quite doing what I needed you to do.
Yeah,
And,
exactly.
that's part of the process. Like, you have to write bad shit to write good shit. You can't, like,
Yeah.
not everything can be objectively good.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh,
Most
yeah.
of it
I
can, but
feel
not
that.
all of it.
Yeah. I usually know, like, with after the first verse, after I've written something, and if I sing it 10 times and I start to get sick of it, I'm like, okay, yeah, this sucks. That's usually when I just
Mm.
scrap it. That's typically how I get my bad out. I don't like, I feel like, or not, I don't know if people would necessarily do this, but what I've heard is that people, to get the bad out, like they'll write a full bad song. But I feel like for me, I'll write like 3 bad first verses of 3 different songs, and then I'll get like something good and be able to write a full good song. Because once I know it's bad, I'm like, I literally cannot work on this
Mhm.
anymore. Like I hate it. I can't.
Yeah. It's always like, for me, it's like I feel like there's 2 different stages of that, and some of it is like sometimes I will sit down, I will write the whole thing top to bottom. Sometimes
Mm-hmm.
I'll sit down and I'm like, okay, like I'll write down, like I have like a verse or a chorus, and I'm like, this is a good idea. If I can't come back to that and write anything else that, like, is going to add on that and take it to like a good level, she's run her course. But
Yep.
other times it's like I'm working on an album at the moment, and I've had probably 25 songs that were supposed to be on it at some different point in time, some of which have been completely finished and then scrapped, just because I'm like, okay, I saw something here. Maybe it was just like it sounded good, but like the way
Yeah.
this was written is just not it. So then like that's just done. And that
Yeah.
happens. And I
Oh
think
yeah.
the more that like you grow and develop, and the more that you're like, the more time you're putting into it and the more longer you're doing it, you're progressing as a writer.
Mm-hmm.
That's not going to say that all of your stuff is going to be to this standard, but once you're getting to this standard and you still have all of this like wiggle room, you're going to be able to more identify these different things. So when you have like more capacity, essentially, like in quality,
Mm-hmm.
you're going to almost identify more bad stuff because it's below your previous standard.
Yeah.
Like think about it in sports. You're not going to play your best game every day. And the
Yeah.
better
Tell
you
that to
get,
my tell that to my coach.
the better you get, like the more bad games are going to stand out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. That's totally true.
So I'm gonna have to remember
Yeah.
that, because I just kind of like came up with that on the spot, but it makes
Yeah, dude,
sense.
I stay doing that. I stay figuring things out mid conversation.
Like, let's remember that one for later.
Yeah.
um, what do you think the ideal listening scenario is for someone to consume your music in? How would you set the scene for them? Obviously it's going to kind of vary, but like just to kind of a general.
I personally, I love to be inside of the song. Like I like to be able to hear. I don't know how to describe it, but basically I like to sit inside the song and I can like see all the different parts happening in my head, but I have to like hear it. Like I have to go to different spots in my head to hear the different sounds. And that always works best in the car. So I feel like a car with a good stereo is like I love listening. And that's probably because I grew up listening to music in the car with my dad, but I love listening to music in the car. Um a car with a good stereo. And when it's bad, it's so bad. But yeah, just and everybody's different. I feel like just in the way that we hear sound and the way that we like kind of process music is a little different. So if I were to recommend it, it would be in the car because that way I can literally sit inside the song because all the speakers are around me. Like when I don't have it in here, but I have this little Bose speaker. It's like this big, and this is like the speaker part, and I will, if I'm really listening to music, I will put that shit right in front of my face, and I will close my eyes and like put it on my head so I can hear it. So then like the sound is like literally inside or all like around my head, and my head feels like it's inside the song. That's just how I listen to music though. I don't know, it's really weird, but yeah, I guess in the car.
I feel like
That's
everything just
my
hits
favorite.
best in the car.
Yeah. But also, I guess also if I'm taking this question in a different route, like it would depend on the song and it would depend on why you're listening to it.
Mm-hmm.
Because for example, mine could be listen to, like that's a great song to listen to like when the sun's setting. When you're like in the car and the sun's setting and like you're driving with your friends and it's like you're quiet and you're just listening to the song and it's like a movie kind of. But then also you could be in your room like quietly journaling, listening to that song. Or if you're sad and you feel like you need a hug, something that like gets you but and it is like consoling you but it understands you at the same time, like then that would be a good time to listen to it as well. It's kind of just depends on the song. Because like Bottom of the Ocean in the car is great in the car during the day and it's nice outside, if windows are down, great. By the pool, great. By the beach, even better. Hanging out with your friends, great. On a run, great. It's a little bit more upbeat. It just depends, I guess. Like if we're setting a mood, you know.
No, it definitely, like, you're not going to listen to like Before You Go, like by like Louis Capaldi in the middle of a run. Like that's, you're
Yeah,
just gonna stop,
exactly.
you're gonna stop moving right then and there.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
also like you're not gonna listen to like a chain smokers song if you're like depressed.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you're just trying to like shove yourself out of it.
Yeah, pretty much.
Wake up wake up that dopamine a little bit. But
Yeah.
every song has a place. It's just a matter of like the context and stuff like
Yeah.
that. But
And the way that you feel. I'm a big, like the way I write my songs is big into feeling. Like I want, like obviously like the lyrics need to help that feeling come across. And just the general sound of the song needs to help that feeling come across, but sound and feeling almost come together for me. Like
mm-hmm.
sound can create a specific kind of vibe or feeling, or just energy in general. And I think about that like all the time when I'm making a specific song, like how I want the song to feel, as opposed to how I want the song to feel through the sound, as opposed to just like using sound as a general term, like how I want the song to sound. Like it's more how I want the song to feel. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That differentiation? Yeah.
Yeah. I think because it's like ultimately like, yes, the lyrics is where you get your storytelling. That's where you get kind of, that's where you're getting context. But ultimately what's kind of really able to further embody and impress that sort of feeling onto you is going to be the package that it's wrapped in and the music itself.
Exactly.
Like you're not going to write something super sad and then just make it super like, like trap beat type. Unless, unless you're going for something ironic.
Yeah, like Bottom of the Ocean. I didn't think the lyrics were, well, they're kind of sad. I don't know. They're kind of just like, I wouldn't say sad. They're more like it was just a shitty situation and it sucked. So like those are the kind of lyrics. But the song is more upbeat. But I kind of did that on purpose because the way that the song is upbeat and the way that the lyrics, it's about a relation, like a toxic relationship. So like the way that I wanted to feel is the way that like the beginning of the song pretty much sounds. That's the way like I wanted the relationship to feel. But then the lyrics kind of juxtapose that and show like what was actually going on.
Right.
Versus like how it looked on the surface. So I like to play around with that a little bit.
No, and a lot of people do the like, if you really focus on the lyrics, or if like you stripped the song down, you'd realize like it has this like not necessarily happy vibe to it. But a lot of people paint that like sonically in a way that it's like upbeat. Like it's just like I've never wanted to do that. For some reason upbeat songs are just not my forte. But that has its place as well. Like there are plenty of, I feel like that's not, I don't want to say all the rage, but like a lot of people do that anymore. I feel like it's not like cut and dry, like, oh, it's slow, that means it's sad.
Yeah.
Or, oh, it's like upbeat, like this is a happy song. Like that's not what the world we're living in anymore.
Exactly. Yeah, it's more complex than that now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which
I agree.
It has its moments. You're gonna listen to something upbeat and then be like, damn, wait. this kind of made me feel something.
Yeah.
What impact do you want to have with your music and with your artistry?
Man, I just want people to be comfortable being themselves. Like that's really it. Like that's what I want so bad, is just not like in like a gushy kind of, oh, I love you, like I don't want it to be like that, but I mean in the sense like empowering, self-empowering. You have self-respect. You're happy. Like that's what I want be, I guess, like to be for others. Somebody that, not just with my music, but just as a person in general, that you can go to either me or you can go to my music and feel like you can be yourself, like you can be comfortable. And with the music, like you can listen to it and feel heard. Especially with the lyrics and like what the song is about. Yeah, I just like that's really my biggest hope for humanity, is that people understand that they should love themselves, but not in like a gushy, like a gushy kind of pussy way, like, or like over the top, like social media marketed, you should love yourself kind of way, but in like a self-respect kind of way. Like I love, like for me, and that's like something that I've had to develop myself. So I'll just use my own experience as an example. Like not, I love myself, but not in like a, not in like a, there's so many different kinds of love, it's almost hard to describe. Not in like a lovey-dovey kind of gushy way or like an egotistical way, but in like a, I respect myself. I show up for myself. That's something I do. Like I do things that are hard because they're good for me. Like working out, like eating well, taking care of myself essentially.
Mhm.
And that it allows me to, like, once I started doing that, my self-confidence grew, like promising myself things. Like one thing I do is I always keep a cup of water. I always fill up a cup of water and I put it on my nightstand so that if I get thirsty at night, I will have something to drink, or once I wake up in the morning, I can drink water. I do that every night. That was the first thing I started doing. And it created so much, like, I've expanded since then, but it's created self-trust, which then creates self-love and self-respect. And it's so possible for everybody to do that too. And I think it's so important because, especially what we were talking about before with the self-deprecation is in, it's like it's almost like an honesty with yourself, like being able to hold yourself to a high standard and being able to love yourself, but not in an egotistical way, like I'm the best and I'm better than everyone. Not like that. Sorry, this answer is kind of long-winded, but it's kind of a big idea in my head.
It's essentially like being aware of your own worth.
Yeah, like that's like really what I want people to feel and people to be able to feel.
Mhm.
And what I would want to represent as an artist. Like if you're not going to respect yourself, who is, you know? And you're somebody who is worth being respected, but you need to respect yourself first in order to garner that. Love, like it's all love, not in the, again, not in like a gushy or not necessarily even like a hippie kind of 70s way, but just like it is all love, you know? Like it's all love, man. I just want people to feel love, basically.
No, I mean, I think that's especially like we said, like the self-deprecation thing is a big thing anymore. But like with that being
Yeah.
said, like this is then important even more so because that is the world that we live in, of like
Yeah.
it's more appealing to other people in a sense. The way things are now is like it's more appealing to like insult yourself than it is to be like, no, like I like recognizing your own worth, and because it
Mhm.
just by default anymore comes across cocky. It comes across
Yeah.
that way for whatever reason. But
I don't
um
even know if it like, see, I don't even think that people, like, self-deprecation comes off, people just think it comes off better when they do it, personally. Like I, at least like when I used to use self-deprecating humor, like I used to do it because other people were doing it, because I thought it was funny, and because I thought other people thought it was funny. That was why I was doing it. But I like completely cut that out. Like I never ever use self-deprecating humor ever. And I'm like like that's like my biggest thing about myself, just because I just don't, I don't like to say negative things about myself at all. In the sense of like, oh, I'm like people who are like, oh, I'm stupid, or I'm such an idiot, or like I never say those things about myself. But I'm still able, like that doesn't not allow me to hold myself accountable. Like I still know when
mhm.
I fuck up and I do something wrong. Um but it's like I like I allow myself to be able to I don't know, make the mistake. Like I just made a mistake, but I can fix it. Like it's okay. Or I
Yeah.
can learn. Like I might not be able to fix it, but I can learn and not do it next time. Like I'm not an idiot just because I, dropped the plate. Just next time, maybe I should, you know,
Be more careful.
be more careful. Like,
Right. No,
yeah,
because I mean that they say that you learn more from doing than you will from like any other thing. Like, and that's true for like mistakes. That's true for like trying different things. Like you can like if you're gonna start something new, you can research it all you want, but you're gonna learn
mhm,
more just by doing the thing first and foremost.
exactly.
And so it's like you just like if you don't allow yourself to like experience that and like have it be something you can take away from, then you're doing yourself a disservice,
Yeah,
essentially.
exactly.
I think that brings us to the final question, which is also the concept behind the podcast, which is ultimately why music?
Why music? Because I have to. Like I just have to do it. I don't know why. I don't know why I have to. But it's just like this. I believe that everybody has a, and this is kind of where it gets spiritual a little bit. Like I almost have like a spiritual connection with music where I believe that everybody has, I think the Buddhists call it your dharma. Um but it's like this one specific thing that you love, that you're really good at, that sustains you and it helps others. Like it's just this thing that you connect with your entire being. And when I am making music, when I'm performing, when I'm writing a song, like when I'm when I'm even just listening to music, like I have this like weird connection with it that it almost feels like a soulmate kind of, um that I've never experienced with anything or anyone else. Actually my dog Nelly low key gets kind of close. That I have like a really she's the best. But um with music it's like I can't not do it. Like I have to do it. I just have to. It almost feels, it's, I don't want to say destiny because I don't necessarily believe in a full out destiny where it's like unavoidable. Um but I mean destiny in the sense like it's what you were made. Like everybody has something that they were made to do, one specific thing. And I just feel like music is, for me, is that thing. Like that's just, I don't know, that's just the way that I feel. Everybody's got their own thing. Like some people it's being a surgeon. Some people it's playing basketball. But for me, like it's making music. Like I just connect with it on a spiritual level. Like I was put here to do it,
Mm-hmm.
basically.
No, that's there's a Japanese word for it. I don't remember what the four different things are exactly, what it's called, like ikigai or something. There's a book about it,
Mm.
and it's like what like fulfills like that passion, serves other people, can support you financially, and then there's a fourth one that I just can't remember exactly what it is. I
Mm.
haven't read the book, but I'm familiar with the concept.
Yeah.
It's on my to be read list,
Yeah.
but it's that same kind of thing where it's like doing something that's not only going to like fulfill you as an individual in like that vocational sense and that like passionate sense, but also like doing something that's, not just you're benefiting from it. Like it can benefit other people, which is what honestly
Yeah.
is like really cool about the creative process. And it's like, especially like I've had this happen with a few different artists that I know that are like at this level, you're essentially just making the music for you because it's like you haven't gotten to that point where it's impacting a lot of other lives yet. But
Mm-hmm.
you have this like you get those occasional random people that'll find you or something, and they're just like, like this one song, just like, like that. It's like that was written for me, or like it's like that just kind of like
Yeah.
changed my day. Like that is
Yeah.
like a huge fueling force for a lot of people. And it's
Yeah.
just like, like being able to impact people with something like that just makes it all the more worth it and all the more kind of impactful to you as an individual.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like my favorite thing, and I've only put out these 2 songs so far, but um and the one, like I literally Sad Love Song like was on my laptop. We recorded it like 3 years ago and I just found it on my laptop. I was like, well, I might as well put the like it's the recording quality shit, but I sound good and the piano's good, so let's just put it on, whatever. Um but even like with just these 2 songs on there, I've like having people come up to me be like, I put it in my like it's in my like songs, like, oh, I've added it to my playlist. They like always make it a point to tell me, and it's so cool to see how happy they are. Like with something that came from my brain.
Yeah,
And they're like so stoked about it and they love it and they love listening to it and it brings them joy. Like that is just the coolest feeling to see other people so happy with like to see something that I made bring other people so much joy. That's like just the coolest
it's
thing.
crazy.
Yeah, it's so cool.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Just, I mean, like, it's just it makes up for like any lack of like ability to see that quality in yourself. Like you seem to have that at least somewhat down. But I'm more than most at least. But like, you know, like it's like, you know, like, oh, maybe like you're questioning it. You're like, oh, maybe this song, like, you know, like I'm not 100% sure that this is like the best it could have been, or like this is like
No,
my
yeah, I
favorite
still
thing.
definitely have that a lot.
And then and then people are just like, this is like the best thing you've done yet. Like I've had a lot of that. Everybody's like telling me like the stuff that I put out recently, it's like this is like miles ahead of what you were doing before. Probably because I'm not mixing it anymore. But but
So
it's like,
true.
you know, it's like it kind of just reaffirms any sort of question you have in your mind of like, is this really it? Which is like ultimately why we can't be perfectionists in this whole music thing, because it's like if you're gonna sit and tweak it for like 6 months, it's not going to be that different. And people are
Yeah.
going to have loved it for 6 months more if you just put it out in the first place. You know,
Hmm.
the more you're just
Oh
kind of
yeah.
overworking it, you're losing sight of ultimately what it can really be.
Oh, 100%.
But
Yeah.
that's the tricky part with such a subjective thing.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
it
it's
is
just
really hard to stop. Like
it's
working on it, it's really hard to
like, wait,
stop.
like there's got to be something left.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's why it's nice to like sometimes just put it in somebody else's hands and not be entirely doing it yourself, because then it's
Yeah.
like I've had stuff and he's just like, no, like you're overthinking this. I'm like, okay, cool. So like do your thing then, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah, yeah. That's why I really like working with Kai because it's nice to have like when I'm working on stuff by myself, it's like way harder. Um, it's so nice to have somebody to bounce ideas off of and to be like, dude, am I crazy or is this symbol like way too loud at this one specific part? He's like, no, dude, it's fine. Like it's not loud at all. I'm like, okay, okay.
Yeah, it's just yeah. But no, I
Yeah.
mean that's what's crazy about music is the impact that it can have,
Hmm.
whether we like intended for that specific result or not.
Yeah.
Awesome though.
Yeah, it's so cool. I love music, man.
That's why we're here.
Yeah.
Well, I think that brings us to the end of this episode of the Why Music podcast. Check back again next week for another conversation with another independent artist. Thanks for listening.